Well, Monday morning again. It's not a great day either. It's going to be overcast all day. Bits and bobs of rain. I think that's what we're going to be looking at for the majority of this week. Sometimes really heavy rain as well. We've still got these little snow warnings in place. I don't think we're going to get any because the temperatures don't seem to be too bad at the moment. But with British weather, you never know. Reason we're in here today is it's time to move these peppers. So we're going to pot them on into 9cm pots, and that's going to give them all root space that they need to probably keep growing until spring, by which time we should have plants at least twice size, so we've got a really good start on those peppers. And I am going to be using recycled compost for this. This is some stuff that we've took from previous containers and I've sieved it, tried to get out as much roots and stones as I possibly can. Of course, there's not going to be any nutrition in this whatsoever, but we can sort that out because we can amend it with some fertiliser, and you can use things like bone meal, fish blood and bone, grow more. You can get those quite cheap. I'm just breaking it up to get rid of any lumps. Well, as you've seen before, these peppers are now starting to get to a really good size, so we don't want to cause them any problems by not moving them on in time. And we did look at these quite recently, and you could see that they had quite a lot of roots. And once them roots start wrapping around at the bottoms of these cells, you're kind of bordering on your plants getting root bound, so you need to move them to stop that happening, because that's just going to slow the growth down of your plants. And we didn't sow these early to let that happen. So next stage for us very early peppers is moving them on. So let's get them sorted out now. But before we do that, we're going to amend this compost. And I've got some bone meal here, which I definitely should not have left in this greenhouse because the box has got damp, which is quite unfortunate, but there's some on it that's perfectly fine. So we're going to take a nice couple of scoops of this. That's lots of nutrition there. Then I'll see if I can dry that box out indoors. I'm probably going to have to put it in a tub now. So I'm just going to mix all that in. Just make sure that every little bit of this compost has got some feed. And that looks perfectly fine to me. So let's move these peppers on. So I'll just take one out. They're quite dry, these, because I haven't watered them today, but you can see that the roots are really starting to build up at the bottom there. So all we want to do is just loosen them off a little bit like that. And then I'm going to fill this pot. I'm not going to fill it to the top though. We want to be filling it about halfway, so we've got plenty of room to get this plant in, and we need to centralise it as well. So just pushing that in like that. That's nicely centred. But what I also like to do is take away these first leaves. They're the first leaves that came out when this plant germinated, and they've now done their job, so we don't really need those anymore. And you can see that they're starting to yellow because they start to die back after a while. So for me, I'd rather just pinch those off. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can see that they weren't doing any good anyway. And then we can just push that plant down nice and deep, and then filling around it. But what I like to do, since I've removed those bottom leaves, it allows me to bury this plant a little bit deeper. It's going to give you a more stocky, stable plant in the long run. And it's as simple as that. Just make sure it's nicely firmed in. Top it up a little bit more. We're burying some of that stem basically, which is not going to hurt your plant. And in a very short space of time, that's that one done. And we've got a nice little stocky plant there. And that stem's going to now thicken up a little bit more. So all we need to do now is just repeat that process for all the rest of them. And if I pinch those leaves off, you can see how long that pepper is. And then how long that one is. Because we took those bottom leaves away and buried it a bit deeper. And the plant's going to thank you for that. So, as before, rough it up. Half fill that container. And then get your plant in as central as you can. Make sure you push it down as well. So it's got a really nice firm base. And then just fill in. I've always done the peppers in this way and it's always worked out alright. I do like to get them as central as I can. And again, topping it back off. And this compost has now got plenty of nutrition in it to help these plants along. And there you go, a nice stocky little plant once again, and that's another one done. Very quick, easy job for a Monday morning. So I'll just do one more, pinching off those bottom leaves, loosen off those roots a bit, and then get it pressed nice and firmly in place and fill in around. We do this a lot with plants through season, especially if they've become a bit leggy. And these aren't leggy plants, but the majority of vegetables that you grow are quite happy to be planted a little bit deeper, and you can take that legginess out of them. And it works especially well on tomatoes because those stems, once buried, grow more roots. So you can take a really long stretch plant and make it into a very strong stocky one. I'm just trying to make sure I leave a little bit of space around that rim, so when we water it, it soaks in and doesn't run off. But again, nice stocky little plant, and that job's done. So a very quick, easy, but also satisfying job to do on a Monday morning. And we've got some nice little pepper plants there that will probably stay in these containers until spring. And by burying them a little bit deeper, we're now guaranteed to get much stronger, stockier plants, which over the course of this coming season is going to do nothing more than benefit them. So we've done a few of those, and I'll get on with rest. So that's another job done, which is really important. The longer you leave it, the more chance them roots are going to build up, and then your plant is going to start to stress. And going back to those bottom leaves that I took off, as I said, you notice that they were slightly yellowing. That's because those leaves don't last forever. They're the very first leaves that came out when that plant germinated. So they've done their job. So you might as well just pinch those off. However, if when you're moving your peppers, any leaves above those two are starting to yellow, then you might have a little bit of problem with two things. Either you've overwatered it, which will cause your leaves to start to yellow, or they've not had enough feed for quite a while. So you can easily sort that problem out by taking it out of that container and just check if it's sodden at bottom, because if your roots are sat in water constantly, that will cause your leaves to yellow. Eventually it will kill that plant as well. So in that case, if that happens to you, repot it straight away into dry compost. And then that's going to soak up that excess water and your plant will be perfectly fine. But if you see yellowing on those very first leaves, don't worry about that. That is perfectly normal. And before I carry on doing these plants, I'm just going to show you this cabbage that we had outside and then we moved in here. And I did that for two reasons. One was because we had a bit of snow and it got really cold, although they are very cold hardy plants, brassicas. But I just wanted to bring it indoors to encourage it to grow rather than go dormant. And there was also a problem with pigeons constantly pecking at those leaves. So I'll give you a quick look at how that's getting on in this greenhouse. And that's the container cabbage. You can see we've got some really nice elfy leaves, and it's starting to fold itself in to form a cabbage, which is brilliant. We have taken quite a lot of leaves off the bottom, as you can see, which is a good thing to do, otherwise they'll sit on this compost and attract slugs. And I also need to make sure I keep going around and weeding this container, because it very soon starts to build up and you don't want anything competing for root space, especially when you're doing container gardening. And in the time it took me to say that, that's been done. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the way that cabbage is getting on. So we'll leave that in here and keep monitoring it. So that's it for this video. We are slowly starting to make progress, and the more days go by, the closer we get to spring. The lighter it gets, the warmer it's going to get, and the more we're going to be doing. And I am looking forward to going through spring and summer with all the new people that's joined this channel recently, the first time gardeners, because I think it's brilliant that people will take the time to try and grow their own fruit and veg and save a little bit of money, because that cost of living is still hanging over the top of us. So good luck to all the new people that's recently joined, and we'll carry on step by step doing bits and bobs of jobs as we need to until we get a bit closer to spring, and then it's going to be full on seed sowing, and you'd be surprised at just how much we're going to be doing per month. So if you'd like to see those videos in future, please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. I'm going to finish these off and get them straight back indoors where it's warm. Take care.